show you, I'm gonna move my screen. Can anybody read my shirt? I know what it says. Priscilla.
Balance.
It says balance. Yep. So last week we talked about strength, and we practiced strength, and strength is super important, but that is just a part of yoga. Another part of yoga that is really, really important is balance. And even before I put this shirt on this morning, I was thinking about balance, because balance is important when we walk, because, you know, sometimes when you're walking and you kind of lose your balance, or you lose your center of gravity and you kind of trip on something, it's important to keep our balance so we can stand upright and not fall down. But not just balance in our bodies. And in yoga, again, we do a lot of balancing poses, and we are going to do more balancing poses today, maybe than we've done cumulatively in all of the other ones. But balance isn't just in your body. Balance is also in your mind and in your heart. And just like when we eat, it's important that we eat a balanced diet. I'm sure you've heard somebody say that before, your parents or a doctor or maybe a teacher talk about the importance of a balanced diet, eating enough fruits and vegetables and not too much sugar. And there's nothing wrong with having some sweets, but keeping a balance is really, really important. And with everything that's going on right now, a lot of people watch the news, and if you haven't noticed, watching the news sometimes is a little hard, because there's a lot of bad news out there right now. And there's nothing wrong with watching the news. It's important for us to watch the news to become informed, being careful what we watch sometimes or what we read. But even that can get you out of balance, because we don't need to sit and watch the news all day long. We don't need to stay on our phones all day long. And I know some of you have had to talk about that before. Our phones are great, and the internet is great, and social media is great, but we don't need to be on it all the time. So all of those things play into balance. And so we can talk about balance all we want, but the beauty of yoga is that we practice that balance in our bodies. And the idea is then that is transferred into our everyday life. So the theme today is balance, like my shirt says. So, and I put my earpods in, earbuds, I think they're called earpods, I'm not even sure. AirPods, that's what they are. So I'm hoping that, and I'm gonna fix a little bit, always gotta get right in the right spot. I want you to be able to see my head. There we go. Okay. I'm wearing my AirPods today, and Stephanie, is the sound better, or is it about the same as it always is?
I think it sounds really good.
Okay, good, good. The only reason I switched back to the AirPods is I listened to one of the recordings, and watched it, and I was like, ooh, it just sounded a little reverberating in the room, and so I feel like the AirPods maybe keeps the sound contained better. So
I think it sounds good.
Awesome. All right, so wherever you are, we're going to start seated on the floor. So go ahead and find your way to the ground. A chair will work if you don't want to sit on the floor, but ideally you're going to be sitting on the floor. So I'm going to give you just a minute to get seated on the floor if you can. Again, if you are able, I wanted to grab this. Okay. And just like always, two of the first things we start with are our breathing and our alignment. So alignment with your spine, both sitting bones grounded into the mat. Legs crossed if that's comfortable for you. If you need to find a different position, that's okay too. But legs crossed, both sitting bones grounded into the mat or into the floor, and sitting really tall, shoulders back and down. So really good posture. And right now, just hands on your knees and just settle into your seat and just start to breathe. Don't worry about deepening your breath too much. Just start to listen to your breathing. And in order to listen to your breathing, you have to get quiet and stop talking. So quiet your mind. I know that we can't always control our thoughts. Our brains are constantly working. So thoughts are going to come in and go out. And sometimes you go, I don't want to be thinking about that right now. I'm trying to do yoga or I'm trying to do something else. But every time a thought comes in, if it doesn't need to be there, if it's not about what we're doing right this minute, just let it go. Kind of like clouds that are passing. Imagine your thoughts like clouds. You know, sometimes when you're outside and you see the clouds passing by, they just kind of pass on by. So let those thoughts just pass on by. But be centered, get centered, be where you are. We're not thinking about anything else right now. We're not thinking about the news. We're not thinking about any other place that we've been this morning or any place that we're going this afternoon. We're just being in the present moment. So start to deepen your breath. You've been listening to your breath, but start to deepen your breath. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, maybe with a big sigh. Put one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. And when you breathe in, make sure that you aren't just breathing into your chest, which we do a whole lot, but breathe all the way down into your belly. So breathe in and let your belly fill all the way up to your neck, really, and then slowly let it out. So your body is kind of like a balloon we've talked about before. Breathing in, the balloon is blowing up, and then breathing out, the balloon is slowly letting out all of its air. So continue with that. Breathing in and breathing out. A few more rounds. If you're comfortable, breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. But if that doesn't feel comfortable, breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth. All right, good job. So that has us centered and grounded and quieted our minds. So we'll start moving just a little bit. So bring your hands down by your side and inhale your right arm up. And then exhale as you bend over to the left. You can keep your arm straight and just bend just a little bit. Or if you feel like you can go further, you can bend that elbow and bring your elbow to the floor, but make sure that the right sitting bone is still grounded, just like the left one is, that you're not tipping over. So however far you feel like you can go, make sure that you're staying grounded in your sitting bones. Continue to breathe in this side stretch. One more breath in and out. And then bring it back down. Recenter. Sit up tall again. Inhale, left arm up. And exhale as you come over and again, as far as you feel comfortable. Check yourself as you're in this side stretch, because this is a side stretch. So we're stretching the side of our body. If you're facing your knee, then you're not really stretching fully your side body. So if you're facing your knee, which happens a whole lot, if your chest is facing your leg, look up, maybe even look up under your arm to the ceiling. And that should give you a better side stretch. A few more breaths in this side stretch. And then back up, get recentered, wiggle it out a little bit, we'll come into a twist. So bring right hand to left knee, bring left hand behind you, just behind your tailbone. And so it kind of acts as another spine. So make that arm be just like your spine. So my arm is bent right now, but as I inhale, I straighten that arm and straighten my spine. And then exhale as you twist around, peeking over your left shoulder. Continue to breathe in that twist. And then bring it back to the front. And left hand to right knee, right hand behind, just behind your tailbone. And inhale as you lengthen your spine and your arm, and then twisting around on the exhale, peeking over your right shoulder. All right, and then coming back forward, staying in this seated position. Pardon me, I think I have a little bug bite. I went for a walk this morning and I think I got a little bug bite on my foot. Staying with your legs crossed, bring your hands out in front. And before we start to fold forward with our legs crossed, inhale and sit tall, lengthening your spine. And then exhale as you walk your hands forward, just as far as you feel comfortable, but making sure that you're staying lengthened through your spine, that you're not humping over like this. So maybe come back up, inhale, sit really tall, lengthen through your spine, and then just start to hinge at your hips and walk your hands out as far as you feel comfortable with that spine lengthen. And then when you get to the point that you feel like you've gone far enough, then you can bow your head and feel that stretch in your back and your shoulders. And then slowly walk it back up. I'm going to have to put some cream on that. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. Yeah, probably help. So we're going to do a few balancing poses seated before we move along. So this is kind of like boat pose, but we're not going to work our core as strongly. So we're not doing a full-on boat pose, but just like in boat pose, remember how we get on our sitting bones and then we kind of tip back only to the point before we start to fall. Because if you tip back too far on your sitting bones, you're gonna fall backward. But before that happens, see how just a little bit I'm kind of slumped because I'm just relaxed. But inhale and sit really tall, lengthen your spine, and then tiptoe your feet back just to that point that you're on the tips of your sitting bones, and find that balance. Lift your feet. You don't have to bring your hands out because that's when we work our core harder, and we're not doing that quite yet, but just hold this position. You can bring your hands behind your thighs if that feels better, making sure that you're still having a good, strong, straight spine, that you're not humping over like this. Finding that balance, and you may be wobbling a little bit, and that's okay. Just hold that for a few more breaths, and then let it back down. And that may have put a little bit of pressure or tension on your back. So if you want to do a little rock and roll right here, that'd be okay. So I like to cross my ankles as I do my rock and roll. All right, then once that feels complete, we'll do a little bit more forward folding. So bring your left foot out and right foot to your thigh. Bring your torso to face your straightened leg. Hands down by your side. Inhale, sitting really tall. And then exhale, just walking your hands out. Kind of like the other forward fold, just coming as far as you feel resistance and then stopping. So if you want to start back up here, making sure that you're not bringing your head forward first. You're sitting tall and hinging at your hips, leading with your chest. So keeping your back straight. And then when you feel like, you know what, that's kind of uncomfortable, or just before it's too uncomfortable, then you can bow your head into that. And you should feel a stretch all along the back side of your left leg, probably from your heel all the way up to your seat. If you want to get a little bit further stretch, bring your right hand to the outside of your left leg. That'll give you even a bigger stretch. Make sure you're breathing. And then roll it back up. Right hand kind of right behind you. Left arm out, almost in line with your left leg. And we're going to be sweeping it up, coming up to our knees. So inhale, sweeping up. Exhale as you come back down. 3 more of those. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. And 1 more. All right. Then switching sides. And by the way, if you notice, everything we do in yoga, we do it on one side and then we do it on the other, because that is balance. We always want to stay balanced. Whatever we've stretched on one side, we want to stretch on the other. Whatever we've twisted on one side, we want to make sure that we twist it on the other, because that keeps us in balance. So right leg straight, left foot, left knee bent, left foot to the inside of your thigh. Bring your torso to face your straightened leg, hands down. Inhale first to sit really tall, and then exhale as you walk your hands out just to that point of resistance where you feel like, yeah, that's probably far enough. And it might be different than the first leg. This leg, you might think, this is so much tighter than the other leg. That happens with me a whole lot. So again, inhaling, sitting really tall, keeping your back straight, leading with your chest, not your head. Start to walk out till you feel like, yep, that's probably good enough. And then you can bow your head. If you want to further the stretch, bring your left hand to the outside of your right leg. Breathe into that stretch. And then slowly roll it back up. Left hand out to the side, kind of behind you, wherever feels the most comfortable for your stability. Arm out straight in line with your straight leg. And inhale up. And exhale it back down. Inhale up. Exhale back down. Breathing in, sweeping up. Breathing out. And 1 more. And back down. All right, so now come to a tabletop position. And in tabletop, remember that your wrists are directly under your shoulders. I'm taking these earrings off. You may not hear it, but I keep hearing these earrings clink into my AirPods, and it's distracting me. So I'm going to take them off. So in tabletop position, again, your wrists are directly under your shoulders. Your knees are directly under your hips. Your neck is in line with your spine. You're just like a table. And we've done, I think we did it last week, and it is a bit of a balancing pose. Actually, it's a real balancing pose, but it also has a lot of strength in it. But sunbird, where we lift right leg and left arm, and then back down. Today we're going to switch it. Usually we hold sunbird for a while to not only work on balance, but also to work on the strength, that core strength. But today we're truly going to be in balance and go back and forth. So we just started with right leg and left arm. So then lead with left leg, right arm, out straight, back down. Inhale and just switch. So right leg, left arm, and down. Left leg, right arm, and down. So when you're bringing them up, remember to do opposites, the opposite leg and arm as you inhale. Exhale as you bring it down. Inhale it up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Continue that with your own breath. Inhaling as you lengthen, opposite arm and leg. Exhale as you bring it down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale down. Continue that, keeping that balance back and forth. We'll do one more on each side. And then widen your knees, bring your big toes together, slide back into child's pose. Rest your forehead on the mat if that feels comfortable. Before you come up from child's pose, try to walk your fingertips just a little further out to feel a bigger stretch in your back. And then walk your hands off to the right side of your mat or where you are. And bring your left hand on top of your right hand. You should feel a stretch all in the left side body. And then walking it back to the center and off to the left side of your mat or your space. Putting your right hand on top of your left. And then back to the center and coming back up to tabletop. Readjust in table. And we'll do kind of like sunbird before, but I know that we've done, when we do sunbird and then we bring our elbow and our knee together. We're going to do that, but only with our legs. So right leg out, and then bring it and touch it to your nose. You don't have to actually touch it to your nose, but bring it close while you tuck your chin, and then bring it back out. And in, out, and in. Inhale as you lengthen, and exhale as you bring them together. Couple more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and then let it go. Maybe shift your hips side to side, and we'll go on the other side. So when you lengthen, you're not only lengthening your foot, but you're also, watch my head. I'm bringing my head up, not cranking it up like this, but just bringing it up in line with my spine, and then exhaling as I tuck my chin and bring my knee as close to my chin as I can. Then inhaling back out exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Again, with your own breath, few more rounds. All right, good job. One more time, widen your knees, big toes together, slide back into child's pose. All right, then coming back up, we will push directly from here into downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, get your arms prepared. Remember that your elbows face forward, your hands are spread wide, and take a big in-breath, and then as you exhale, push up into downward facing dog. Pedal your feet out. We'll practice a little balance here. Find some centering and inhale your right foot up. Hold it for a few breaths. Then lower it. Then inhale your left foot up. Hold it for a few breaths. Then let it down. And then just slowly walk your feet up to meet your hands. And raise back up. I'm taking a quick little water break. I had a big walk right before I came in for yoga, so. All right. So now you're standing. And again, today's all about balance. So usually toward the end, before we sit back down, we do just like one, maybe two balancing poses. We're going to do a few more today just to, again, incorporate that balance. And again, we wouldn't do this in every yoga class because we've got to work on strength and we've got to work on flexibility. But today, we're just focusing on, for the most part, balance. So we'll start off with something that's very familiar, and that is tree pose. Everyone knows tree pose. But what I want to make sure that you grasp today with your tree pose is make it your own. That's another really important part of finding balance within our own lives, is realizing that we do have our own lives, that we are unique, that we are individuals, and that there's nobody else like you. There's nobody else like Molly Moore, and I have to remember that, and I have to be the best me that I can be, and the way that I do things isn't just like the way that Miss Stephanie does things. The way that Amy does things is not just like the way that Miss Marcy does things. We're all unique individuals, and so even something like tree pose, it doesn't have to look a certain way. And that's part of balance in your life, is recognizing and remembering in your heart who you are and that you are your own individual. And it doesn't matter if you look like anybody else. It doesn't matter if you talk like somebody else, that you even behave like someone else. Although part of balance is being responsible for ourselves and behaving like we know that we're supposed to be behaving, the way that's right and just. So again, all of that to say, when we start this tree pose, make it your own. Just because the way I do it doesn't mean you have to do it the exact same way. The point is to get grounded first. So just like a tree can't stay up if it's not rooted and grounded. As soon as the storm comes, it's going to fall over. So imagine your right leg. We're going to root into our right leg first. Imagine your right leg like the trunk of a tree. So look down at your foot. Imagine roots leaving your foot, going down into the earth like roots of a tree. And stand tall in that tree. Don't slump like this. Stand tall through your core, because remember, you're just like the core of an apple, all the way through your body. So get strong in that core. Bend your left knee. And if you stay right here with your left heel just balanced on your leg, that is okay. So this would be the basic tree pose, just with your arms out right here. And that is challenging your balance. But if you want to take it further and you know that you're able, I would challenge you to challenge your balance. Push yourself a little bit, not to the point that it hurts, but to the point that it might be a little bit of a challenge. So bring your hands to heart center. I'm going to go ahead and slide my foot up my leg. Find that stability, and then maybe grow your tree. And remember, we've talked about how trees aren't always still. Sometimes it's windy. Sometimes storms come. And guys, that's the same way in our life. Look, I'm getting a little wobbly, and that is okay. Storms come, not just rain and snow, but storms come in our life and make us upset or frustrated or angry. And that's okay. But what's super important is remembering our balance and being grounded and rooted in the truth of who we know that we are. So finish up your tree pose however you want to do it. Make it your own. Make it dancey if you want. And then bring your knee back to the front and let it down. Shake it off, because sometimes my leg that is rooted and grounded gets a little bit tired. And sometimes staying in balance does make us tired. But again, just like in yoga, we always rest at the end. That's why it's important to sleep. It's important to get enough rest. That's, again, part of balance in our life. So now, other side, because we always do balancing, other side. So root into your left foot, right knee bent. Keep it as a kickstand if you want. Hands at heart center if you want, or keep them down here. Slide your foot up if you're able, and then grow your tree. And keep it here, or maybe really even challenge your balance and see how much you can wobble without falling, without bringing your foot down. Make it playful. One of my yoga teachers one time said, Molly, you need to smile when you do tree pose, because I was so serious and my brow was furrowed and I was frustrated because it was hard to hold it. And she said, if you smile, it's so much easier. And you know what, guys? I've found that that is true in life. And I don't think many of you have a trouble with this, but smiling and being happy and finding joy makes things more balanced in my life. So finish up your tree pose, bring your foot down, shake it out. Good job on that tree pose. Now, warrior three, and I just lost one of my AirPods. I'll tell you what, technical difficulties never end. I think they're both back now. Anyway, so warrior three, if you want to grab a hold of a chair or get to the edge of a desk or something, you're welcome to do that, because this is more of a challenging pose than just tree. And again, warrior three doesn't have to look exactly like I do. And my warrior three doesn't always look the same. Sometimes I feel more balanced today than I will tomorrow, or as I did yesterday. So get grounded in both feet first. Look down at your feet. Imagine yourself like a tree, strong and rooted and grounded. Then bring your right foot back. And remember, ideally, that your leg and your torso are going to stay in line with each other. They don't have to be, but as you bring your right leg back, you tip forward with your torso. And again, if you need to find a wall or a chair, and if you need to move something closer to have it right there by you, it's okay. So I like to start with my hands at heart center. But if that doesn't work for you, you can go ahead and bring them out to the side. But you bring your warrior three, make it your own. Once you get into position, you can bring your arms out. You can even bring them out to the side like Superman. Actually, I guess this would be Superman. This would be like an airplane. And if you're wobbling and your foot comes down a couple of times, that's okay. Find what works for you. I just had to touch the wall a little bit. Find what works for you that you feel the most grounded and balanced. And then let it down. Whew. Shake it out. And then we'll come to the other side. I'll move to this side. I'm not going to have a wall to cheat off on this side, so that'll be more of a challenge for me. Hands at heart center. Ground into your right foot this time. And again, bring it into your version of Warrior 3, however that looks. Maybe arms out by the side. You could even flap your wings if you really wanted to challenge your balance, like a bird maybe. And then let it down and shake it out. Now this is one that I feel like we did at Fun Club way back when we used to be at Fun Club, but I'm not sure that we've done this one via Zoom. So again, this one is a little bit of a challenge, and if you have that chair or desk handy, stay near it because you might want to hold on to it. But just like Warrior 3, you don't have to come fully into this pose in order for it to be effective. It's called Dancer. I think that Nikki really liked this one, if I remember correctly. But I'll stand to the side, and it's simply, so bring your right hand. What you're going to be doing is lifting your right foot. So kind of like, have you ever seen a penguin, the way a penguin stands? Penguin stands with one foot straight, one leg straight, and then one bent. You can kind of start with that because even just that challenges your balance. And if that's as far as you want to go, that's okay. So the very first step would be that, bending that right knee, finding stability and balance on your left leg. And then if you're able, for the next step, bring your right hand down and bring your palm out to the side. See how my palm is facing you? And reach for your foot, but grab a hold of the inside of your foot like this. And if you think that's too much, that's okay. Bring it back down and bring your hands however you want and just keep that knee bent. That's all right. So that would be step one. Step two would be bring hand down, grab hold of the inside of your foot and find your stability. And you can find your stability however you want. If your other hand on your heart works, if one hand up works. And then from here, it's a little bit like Warrior 3. You start to bring that knee up like a dancer, like Keely, the ballerina. And I'm sure she is far more graceful than I. So again, play around with it. Make it fun, guys. So the first thing is if all you can do is this, that is okay. But if you feel like you can take it further, even if you're holding onto a wall or a chair, grab hold of your foot and then keep holding onto the chair or the wall if you want, if you need, and play with your balance. And wobbling, just like I said, wobbling is always okay. And then bring it down and shake it out, and we'll take it to the other side. Same thing, again, don't worry about making it look a certain way. Just play around with it and have fun. So grounding into your right foot, bending your left leg, keeping it right there if you want, or grab a hold of the inside of that foot. I'm already not having as much stability on this side for whatever reason. And then play with it from there. Use a chair, use a wall. All right. Good job, guys. One more standing balance pose before we bring it down. And I don't think we've ever done this one. So this one's kind of like a standing split, but not really a full split. So stand with your feet together. And it's a little bit like warrior 3 in that one foot comes back. And as you bring it up, instead of trying to hold your arms out, bring that leg as far up as you can. Easier said than done, right? So ground into your left foot, right foot back. And as you lift that leg, see if you can touch the ground. It's not a big deal if you can't. Even if you just kind of come into a partial warrior 3, that's all right. But just kind of play around with it. So hands down, leg up, then back up, switch, get your stability, hands down, leg up, and back up. Good job. Again, have fun with it, play with it. It's not, doesn't need to be stressful. So to come down, we're going to do something that we have done a few times. And this is not comfortable for everybody. So if what we're going to do is come down into a squat, and then I've shown you how we just kind of fall back on our seats. But if that's not comfortable for you, go ahead and find a seat. But if you're able, go ahead and bring your feet out like this. I'm going to turn to the side to show you hands at heart center, keeping your chest raised, not bending forward. Start to hinge, bending your knees, coming into that squat. And then your seat is so close to the mat, and if you're not comfortable falling back, then you can always bring your hands back here. But it's kind of a bit of a challenge to just kind of pop. There we go. Good job. All right. So since we're already in this position, we'll bring a little bit more balance back into boat, but we'll actually make it boat pose because we do want to do a little core work, because even though the majority of our practice is balance today, I still want to incorporate all of the aspects of strength and flexibility, and core work is one of those strengthening. So you've done boat before, make it your own, sitting tall, tipping back on your sitting bones just to the point before you fall back, lifting your toes, bringing your lower legs, your calves parallel with the floor. If you wanted to straighten your legs, if you're able to do that, that's okay. Bringing your arms out. Make this boat pose your own. You can row your boat if you would like, but hold boat pose, making sure that you're breathing. 2 more breaths, and then relax. And we'll do the other boat pose. I think we did this last week, but almost like a kind of like a crunch. So in, out, in, out. Few rounds, and then let it go. Maybe do a little rock and roll. And then finally coming back down to your back and keeping your knees bent, and bring your arms inside your legs. Grab hold of the outside of your feet for happy baby. Rock side to side. Do whatever motions, movements here that you feel like you need to do. If that's hugging your knees into your chest, just rocking side to side, doing more rock and roll. You bring whatever movements you need to finalize and balance out your practice. And then once that feels complete, bring your feet back down to the mat and widen your feet as wide as the mat, or if you don't have a mat, just a little wider than hip width apart, and drop your knees to the left. Bring your arms out to a T and look over your right arm. Feeling that twist. Breathe into that. And then bringing it back up and dropping them to the right and looking over your left shoulder. All right, then bringing it back up. Then just letting your arms fall down by your side, palms facing up, legs straight with your feet just flop out comfortably, and just settle into your mat for several breaths. Let any tension go, anything that's clenched, anything that's tightened, just loosen it and feel your body melting into the mat. And then in your own time, however you like to come up to an easy seat, you know all the ways, rolling to one side and laying there for a few breaths, or just rolling up to a seat.
Okay.
Yay.
All right, so everyone up in a seat, hands down by your side. Inhale, arms up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart center, and all together.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Awesome. Okay, so guys, I would like, I know sometimes when we end, I ask Stephanie to let you go one at a time for poses. But today, instead of doing poses, if we can, Stephanie can unmute one time, and I know she unmuted, but now I'm asking her to mute back. But I want to ask a quick question. So I gave you some ideas about balance. Obviously, we have lots of balance in our body within yoga, but there are so many other aspects to our life that balance is really important. So either some ways that I mentioned, or some ways that you can think of that maybe I forgot about. So one at a time, I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas about other areas of our life that it's really important to have or practice balance. So Stephanie, who would be first?
Kinley. Kinley's first on my screen.
Okay, Kinley, what's something in life that is really important for us to find balance or to have balance?
What's the question again?
Well, what are some ways that we need to have balance in our life? Remember, I talked about our eating. We need to have a balanced diet. So how about this? Kinley, can you give me an example of eating a balanced diet? What does a balanced diet look like? What does it mean to eat a balanced diet? Does it mean you only eat at Cabo's for every meal?
Lots of vegetables.
Yes, lots of vegetables and fruit. And is it okay to eat fast food?
A little bit.
It is. But should we eat fast food every meal? Right. Should we eat fast food every meal? No. So a good balanced diet. And you know what, Kinley? Sometimes you send me pictures of your lunches, and I think that you do a good job of having a good balanced diet. Okay, so who's next?
Priscilla.
Priscilla, can you think of a way, maybe other than eating, that it's really important to have balance in your life?
Stay dehydrated? Like drink
That
lots of
is
water?
such a good idea. Stay hydrated, making sure that you drink enough water. And there are other things that we drink like juice or Gatorade, and there's nothing wrong with those, but nothing replaces water. So making sure that you drink plenty of water is a really good way to make sure that you have balance and to make sure that your body's hydrated. Good job, Priscilla. All right, who's next?
John.
John, what about you?
Well, sometimes I eat an apple for like a snack, like a healthy fruit.
And that's perfect. So yeah, and so because you know that you don't always eat perfectly healthy food, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at least you are eating some healthy foods, right? So that is balance. Good job.
All right, Christopher.
Oh no.
Can you think of a way that I'm going to give you a hint? Watch. Can you see me, Christopher?
I can't.
You can't see me? You can't see my screen right now?
No.
Okay. I'm going to give you a hint then. What happens when it gets dark and we go to our bedrooms, and what do we do at night?
Go to bed.
Yes. And what's that called when we go to bed?
We're resting.
We're sleeping. And so that is a really important part of our balance in our life, is getting enough sleep. So when you go to, yeah, what?
I got one.
What you got?
I will eat a banana for lunch.
That's a perfect way to eat a balanced diet. Good job. But, well, maybe somebody else will talk about sleep. All right, who's next?
Caitlin.
Ooh, Caitlin. You ate what?
Okay. Lunch.
You ate lunch? Did you already eat lunch, or will you eat lunch when we're finished here?
Okay.
Yeah. And making sure that you have some vegetables or fruit sometimes, that's really important, right? All right. Is there anybody else? Or is that it, Stephanie?
I've got Nick.
Oh, yeah, Nick.
I just said, eat all day.
You eat all day? Well, I guess eating all day, but you might want to take breaks, because that's a good way to balance, right? But so the final thing I want to talk about, because we just mentioned it a little bit, was sleep, making sure that we get enough sleep. So when we go to sleep, is it a good idea to be on our phones?
No.
No. Thumbs down or thumbs up? Yeah, no. Again, there's nothing wrong with, I love my phone. I love the Facebook. I love the Instagram. But we have to know that we got to keep balance, to not use it too much, especially when we need to be sleeping. But even throughout the day, should we use it all day long? No. We should find some time to exercise. We should find some time to maybe color or something else. So, all right.
We've got 2 more. I don't know if you can see them on your screen.
Oh, I can't.
Okay, we've got Sarah and Pori.
Okay. Pori.
All right, Sarah.
Sarah.
I might eat lunch every day.
You eat lunch every day. Yep, I know you do. And it's important to make sure that you have a balanced diet, right? And eating some healthy foods.
Yes.
Yeah, good. All right, what about you, Pori?
All right, Pori, unmute yourself, babe.
Huh? I need help.
Oh, you're in the car.
She is in the car.
Okay. Can you hear?
Hey, Homa.
Yes.
Hi.
Hey,
Can
Pori.
Hey,
Hey.
friends. balance,
Uh-huh.
leadership,
Relationship.
and leadership.
Yes.
That's
I love
good.
it. That's awesome. Thank you, Pori.
You're welcome.
All right, friends. Well, it's so good to see you today.
Tell
I
Miss
didn't get
Molly
to
thank
see-
you.
Thank you.
Bye, Molly.
Bye. Since I don't get to see
Bye,
you
Molly.
do your yoga, I'm not sure who does what. But
Thank you,
I'm
Molly.
anxious to find out who did some balancing poses maybe that they hadn't tried before. So,
Mhm.
all right. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Molly.
Bye.
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 Hey guys, real quick,
Bye, Molly.
tomorrow, remember
Yeah.
when you come to,
Relaxing.
I want you to bring a ballpoint pen.
Get them.
Remember to bring a pen?
Oh.
A sheet of paper. Go ahead and bring a sheet of paper as well.
Amy. Bye.
I don't think it would be okay if you were writing on furniture or so bring a sheet of paper and a pen.
Are we doing both boot camp tomorrow?
We are.
Oh.
Yes, sure.
Lesson before and we'll do burn afterwards.
Okay.
Okay?
Bye.
See you
Bye.
tomorrow.
Hit me, bye.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye,
Bye.
Kelly Crab.
Bye, Kelly.
Bye, Marcy.
Yeah.
Bye,
Marcy.
Kelly.
Oh, Colby.
I will.